The U.S. Secretary for Transportation has been on paid leave for 2 entire months amidst a U.S. supply chain issue that is wrecking the U.S. economy. And various companies are shutting down their vaccine mandates after various employees are fighting back for their rights. That and more tonight on Pepp Talk. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Pepp Talk. So tonight we have a couple of very interesting stories. The first of which is talking about our very own Secretary for Transportation, who has been on paid leave for 2 entire months amidst this giant U.S. supply chain issue that we have been experiencing that has been absolutely wrecking the economy. So Pete Buttigieg is the Secretary for Transportation. He ran for president. He ran alongside Biden and obviously lost. And now he has been appointed Secretary for Transportation for the United States for no real reason other than the fact that he likes trains, apparently. But that aside, he has been gone for the past 2 months. He's been on paid leave for paternity leave because him and his husband have recently adopted a child, and he's been obviously needed at home for the child. But for some reason, it was thought necessary that we pay him 2 entire months to stay at home and not work. And not only that, but nobody even noticed that he was gone in the first place. He didn't mention to tell anyone that he was gone, and no one noticed that he was gone in the first place. And with that being said, a lot of people have come on to him saying, well, maybe we shouldn't be paying you for 2 entire months to go home and do absolutely nothing. And so Buttigieg actually is responding to this in a video here that I want to show you. And after that, I kind of want to discuss what the actual argument is, which is not that spending time with your children is a bad thing, because obviously it's a very good thing, and that is a very necessary thing. But we'll get to that in a second. But here's a video of Buttigieg responding to various people claiming that he did not need to leave for 2 months on paid leave to be with his family.
Paid family leave is important. It's important as a matter of family values. It's important to our economy. And one more thing that I think is maybe underappreciated, when somebody welcomes a new child into their family and goes on leave to take care of that child, that's not a vacation. It's work. It's joyful, wonderful, fulfilling work. But it is work. And it's time that our nation join pretty much every other country in the world and recognize.
There you have it. He is arguing that he was, in fact, working very hard, even though he was not at all showing up to work for the past 2 months and was, in fact, being paid not to show up to work. Now, the argument here is not that Pete Buttigieg doesn't need to spend time with his children because he's a father, or that's not important. The work at home is very important for the mother and the father. That is obviously very much true. The argument is instead that maybe that we shouldn't be paying him to do so, especially for the duration of 2 entire months. Paternity leave or maternity leave usually lasts somewhere around 2 weeks or so, not an entire 2 months. Especially him being paid to not show up to work. And additionally, what makes it even worse is that no one even knew he was gone. And given that, it probably isn't an important job anyway if you can leave your job post for 2 entire months on paid leave and no one even know that you were gone in the first place. So that's kind of the main criticism that Pete Buttigieg is facing right now. And moving on with that subject, I want to talk about the U.S. supply chain crisis that has been disrupting our economy for some time now. So, according to ABC News, quote, as the U.S. economy struggles to fully recover from the coronavirus pandemic, supply chain disruptions across the country are driving up prices and leading to a growing shortage of goods. The supply chain bottlenecks around the world have caused record shortages of many products that American consumers are used to having readily available, from household goods to electronics to automobiles. Moody's Analytics have warned that problems will likely get worse before they get better. Analysts say that the lingering effects of COVID-19 mitigation strategies essentially reduced the production of goods and services, and the supply chain shortages now happening are the result of struggles to return to pre-pandemic levels. Economists believe that there are several factors contributing to the supply chain shortages, including a growing number of workers quitting jobs key to keeping things running around smoothly. A record of 4.3 million Americans quit their jobs in August, the most since the Department of Labor started tracking this data in 2000. With growing inflation jitters, many large retail employers are increasing their wages to keep up with rising prices, intensifying the competition among companies to make their most compelling job offers amid the pre-holiday rush to hire workers. The American Trucking Association in 2019 estimated that it would be short some 60,000 drivers, but those shortages have increased due to retirements and new truck drivers needing to be trained due to COVID-19 closures. So essentially, the United States is experiencing these supply chain issues due to the effects of the pandemic, and which is leading to a lot of inflated prices and a lot of shortages of necessary goods that the consumers in the U.S. and all over the world need. And it's just a very important issue that needs addressing, and it is very odd to see our Secretary of Transportation taking a 2-month paid leave amidst this U.S. supply chain crisis. So moving on with that, I kind of want to keep on the same subject. One of the reasons for this supply chain issue, as stated in the article, was a lot of workers quitting their jobs, and we are continuing to see that today. So Southwest, as we talked about last week on the show, actually was suffering some issues whenever they implemented their vaccine mandate in accordance with the Biden order. So what happened last week was we saw thousands of flights being canceled over various amount of employees quitting and walking out of their jobs because they didn't want to comply with Southwest's vaccine mandate. And now Southwest has admittedly accepted the fact that this is not going to work, that they can't keep pushing for this vaccine mandate, and because of that, they have scrapped the plan for having this vaccine mandate in the first place. So, according to CNBC.com, quote, Southwest Airlines has scrapped a plan to cut unvaccinated employees who have applied for but haven't received a religious or medical exemption on unpaid leave as of a federal deadline in December. Southwest Airlines and American Airlines are among the carriers that are federal contractors and subject to a Biden administration requirement that their employees are vaccinated against COVID-19 by December 8th, unless they are exempt for medical or religious reasons. The company is giving employees until November 24th to finish their vaccinations or apply for an exemption. It will continue paying them while the company reviews their requests and said it will allow those who are rejected to continue working as we coordinate with them on meeting their requirements. So, essentially what is happening here is Southwest has acknowledged the fact that they cannot impose this vaccine mandate very well upon their employees. As we saw last week, they had to cancel thousands of flights. They just simply can't run their business with all their employees quitting on them. So instead, they said, okay, well, as long as you apply for some sort of exemption, whether it be religious or medical, instead of having us suspend you without pay, we are going to keep paying you and allow you to keep working as we review it, and probably just admit you to keep working because Southwest simply cannot bear the cost of losing all their employees due to this mandate. And in a similar nature, actually, we have In-N-Out doing the same sort of thing. So in San Francisco, there is a vaccine mandate, and that means that if you're going into various restaurants, the restaurants have to check your vaccine card. They have to make sure that you have it and that you're fully vaccinated against COVID-19. And In-N-Out has done something that is pretty brave, something that is pretty good, in my opinion. They are saying, well, no, we are not going to be the police force of the San Francisco government to ensure that everyone is vaccinated. They have defied that order. So, according to NPR News, quote, the San Francisco Department of Public Health briefly shut down the city's only In-N-Out location last week because it was not properly checking patrons' vaccination documentation. The city has required full proof of vaccination in order to enter public spaces, including bars and restaurants, since August. Arnie Winsinger, In-N-Out's chief legal and business officer, said in a statement provided to NPR that the restaurant had posted signage to communicate local vaccination requirements, but was not preventing the entry of customers who didn't have the proper documentation. So, as you can see from that, it wasn't like they were trying to completely avoid the law or the vaccine mandate. They were trying to put up posters. They were trying to signal to their customers that, hey, you need to be fully vaccinated before you enter here. They just weren't going to go to the further step of actually policing it and requiring that every customer brought in their vaccination card to allow them to eat. They just simply weren't going to do that. And they just didn't want to segregate their customers. And in fact, Winsinger actually says this, quote, he went a step further, adding that the company aims to make all customers feel welcome and finds it unreasonable, invasive, and unsafe to ask staff to segregate customers and those who may be served and those who may not be served. We fiercely disagree with any government dictate that forces a private company to discriminate against customers who choose to patronize their businesses, he wrote. This is a clear governmental overreach, and it is intrusive improper, and offensive. So this is good. This is brave. This is very difficult thing to do for In-N-Out. And I think it's good. They're standing up to this, as he said, very well documented government overreach. And instead of being the police force for the San Francisco government and making sure that everyone that comes in there is vaccinated and checking each customer's vaccine card, they're simply not going to do that. And in saying so, they had their business shut down. Now, it has recently been reopened except for dine-in. And I think that this kind of is an indication of what is going to happen if the government keeps on pushing on its citizens these mandates and these requirements. It's kind of the whole argument that I've conveyed throughout the entirety of this show. From episode 1, I talked about how mask mandates don't make sense and how they can lead to something else. And then we saw vaccine mandates come into play, and now we are seeing citizens starting to kind of rebel against this notion that the government has this top-down authoritarian view or idea that they can just make citizens follow any order that they please. It's just not how it works. Whenever companies like In-N-Out and Southwest are fighting back, we see that maybe these orders directed by the government aren't going to exactly work anymore if they keep on putting down these restrictive measures on the economy and making people's lives harder. So again, I think it's a good job for In-N-Out here. It's very hard for them to suffer their business being shut down, and thankfully it is reopened. But that is just, again, I think what's going to keep happening if the government continues to try to force businesses and private companies to simply enforce policies that they want everyone to follow that everyone might not agree with. So there we have it. Those are the news stories for the evening. I really hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. I wanted to let you know that I actually have a TikTok page loaded up now. I don't enjoy the app. I don't look at TikToks or anything like that. I actually despise TikTok, but I thought the best way to spread the message of Pepp Talk and to get the broadest audience possible, I thought I could use TikTok as a good social media platform to do so. So I will link that in the description in case you use the garbage app TikTok and you want to stay informed on there for the news. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed tonight's episode, and I will see you all next week on Pepp Talk. Bye-bye, everybody.